Your target area for this kick is roughly 3 finger widths above the knee on the side of the leg. The peroneal nerve over here is exposed, and especially if you take his weight off the foot and you kick into that area, both legs collapse, both legs go numb. Hitting range, elbows, hammer fists, that kind of thing. From here, I just bring it through the middle, up to my knee, and I rake down the front of his shin or the inside of his shin. Very, very effective. Right, welcome everybody. In this short session I'm going to be showing 5 fundamental Krav Maga kicks that we use in our system, and the simplest and easiest ways to master their execution and to do them really well. I'm going to jump right in. It's very simple. Kicking is an art, it's also a science, and it's something that you can learn really easily provided you stick to the basics of centering yourself, keeping your balance, engaging your whole body, and so on. And I'm going to share those principles with you as I go through these 5 kicks. The first and most obvious kick that I'm going to share with you is the one that we all love, the groin kick. Prime target in Krav Maga, not a prime target in sports. But on the street, in a self-defense situation, kicking the groin is a great idea. Now there are a number of ways to do this. Very often people intuitively, if they haven't trained and are wanting to kick the groin, will simply stand like this and swing their back leg up and try and kick in like that to strike the groin. The problem with that is that very often an assailant is expecting it. He's been kicked there before, he reads the signals, and he sees the back foot coming from a mile away. So the method I prefer to teach is to actually kick the groin off your front leg. I stand in an orthodox stance with my left foot in front, my right foot at the back. So for me, I prefer to throw the kick using my front leg. And there's a simple way to do this. First off, your back foot needs to be turned more or less 45 degrees out. Toes can't be facing forward. From your neutral position or your combat position, where you have 60% of your weight on your front foot and about 40% on the back at this point, from here, all you do is very subtly shift the weight back slightly to roughly 50-50, maybe even 40% front, 60% back. But you don't want to cue the guy into seeing that you're actually switching weight. And one of the ways to do that is to move your hands, keep your hands up here. A groin kick can be fired from a static position, even with your feet parallel, dude, leave me alone, boom, and go from there. Or it can be in a dynamic situation where you're moving around, fighting, engaging with him, and you suddenly lift that front foot and kick him in the groin. Either way, it works the same way. You shift the weight slightly to your back foot, and from here, it's not a case of lifting your knee and snapping the foot out like that, because that's readable. He sees that coming a mile away. In order to throw this kick, it's essential to think of your entire body as being one long solid unit. So we don't want to pick up the front knee and then snap the foot out. That is an approach that is easily read by somebody who knows what to expect and is very wary of getting kicked. You'll see that a mile away. Instead, what we do is we keep the body straight from the tip of my head to the tip of my front toe. And all I'm doing is I'm using the hip as the pivot point. So from here, I'm throwing my weight back slightly. Not too much, but just enough to rock my body back to allow the hip to drive forward and the knee to lift. The feeling is the same as if I'm throwing a knee strike off my front leg. So it's kind of lifting up and thrusting forward like that without too much telegraphing. The difference, of course, is that I'm now snapping the foot out, striking the groin, using the instep of the foot, possibly even the shin, reaching in as I do so. And for that to work, I need to distract him. So my hands need to be up here, engaging him, distracting him, maybe, whatever it is, or fooling him into thinking that I'm doing something else. If I get into a ready position and my body starts turning and I'm kicking this way, easy to see. But from here, it's simply a case of exhaling hard and going like that. And you're reaching right in between the legs, straight into the groin, connecting up underneath using your shin. It's good to practice this off your front foot and to allow a partner to give you feedback. Do they see it coming? Have them hold the pad, of course. Don't actually kick them in the groin. So from here, it's just simply keeping your hands up, looking at his chest. Don't make the rookie mistake of looking where you're going to kick. Don't look at his groin. Look at his chest or throat area, and from there, without warning, without any kind of telegraphing, all you're doing is switching the weight and going like that, straight into the groin. It's a very, very simple movement. And if you look at it from the front, essentially all I'm doing is my profile doesn't change. I'm not turning. I'm just simply moving the weight back, and from there, boom, just like that. The foot comes up and into the groin. And of course, we don't stop there. That's the lead in to something like a push kick. It's the lead in to something like a tie kick, or whatever it is, or it's the lead in to engaging with the hands from there. A groin kick, for obvious reasons, is incredibly effective. It's good to practice it, and practice it in combination with other things, so that in the middle of engaging and wrestling and stepping back and creating range, whatever you're doing, you can suddenly fire that into the groin without him seeing it coming. It's a good one to practice. The second kick I'm going to share with you is what we call a push kick. It's essentially a kick delivered with your back leg, driving right through. It looks very much like a maigiri in karate. In other words, a stabbing front kick using the back leg, where you're essentially doing that. The difference between karate and many traditional martial arts and what we're doing is we're not trying to stab the toe into him or push with the ball of the foot. We can do that, and sometimes we do. It's very good for just winding somebody or showing them that you could have thrown them through the window. But our goal is to kick right through, bang, and push him away. This is to create range in the case of somebody with a bladed weapon. It's to stun him with your hands or your elbows, to step back and then kick him down the stairs, kick him through the window, get him out of the picture so that you create space to find a weapon to escape whatever it is. And the key here with all of these kicks is think through, not to. So previously when we did the groin kick, you're not just snapping your leg out and ringing the bells. You want to think of driving that leg right up into his midsection basically. You're essentially driving up and in and not stopping. Same thing with the push kick. You're not just contacting his midsection or his lower stomach, groin area, chest even. You're pushing right through. So by that I mean when you kick, don't kick to there. Throw the kick and throw it right through him, as though you want to smash his spine out of the back of his body. I know that's a bit graphic, but remember that the moment you move, he's going to react. He's already going to be retreating or trying to block or whatever he's doing. So you need to be able to smash right through his defenses and drive him back. So how do we do the push kick? Very simply, it turns out. From your ready position or your fighting position here, all you do is you take your front toes and turn them out about 45 degrees. That way your heel stays on the ground and you don't rise up in a tiptoe, which robs you of power. So toes subtly just turn out 90 degrees. You bring your left knee up like that and you park your foot next to your supporting knee, right there. From here, you don't snap the foot out, you push your hip forward. The feeling is as though I'm closing the fridge or closing a door using my knee and doing that. And back. The difference, of course, is that I'm now pushing the foot out at the same time. So the power of the kick does not come from the leg extension. The power of the kick comes from the hip twist and the hip extension as I lean in. I'm literally recruiting my body weight as I go in, like that, and then stepping through or withdrawing my leg. It's very important that you bring your supporting foot next to your knee, because if you don't, you're going to lose balance and wobble and lose potential power on the way in. It's also very, very important that when you kick, make sure that everything goes in a direct line from the ground to your knee to the target. Don't take detours. Another very important point when kicking, especially if you're a beginner, keep your hands up. Many beginners make the mistake of throwing a groin kick or throwing a push kick, and they do this, they drop their hands because they feel that by dropping their hands they'll develop more power. You don't develop more power, but you develop a high capacity for being knocked out. Always protect your head, protect your face, keep your hands up. And I find that the easiest way to do that is when I kick, typically I extend a hand or both hands toward the other person because it distracts them, it shields me, and it provides perfect balance and cover as you deliver the kick. So instead of doing this, we're doing this, and back. When you strike with a push kick, think of stomping a cockroach. You're using the flat of the foot, smashing him back. You can stab in with the toe if you want to go a little gentler, for example in sparring, just to win somebody or to slow them down. But in real life, you want to think of smashing his intestines through his spine. breaking his sternum, breaking his pubic bone, whatever it is, you want to smash right through it. So the key points for that kick are really simple. You turn the supporting toes out, you bring your foot up to your knee so that you're well balanced. I'm slowing it down. In reality, it's one smooth continuum. From here, you stab out, pushing the hip forward, and from there you can either step in or you can step back or continue your attack. Do it with speed, force, do it with maximum surprise and maximum prejudice. It's a very powerful kick and it can save your life. The third kick I'm going to talk about is possibly the most technical one of them all, and we call it the tie kick. It is a roundhouse kick to the outside of an opponent's leg. Typically done to the outside, can also be done to the inside. Your target area for this kick is roughly 3 finger widths above the knee on the side of the leg. The peroneal nerve over here is exposed, and especially if you take his weight off the foot and you kick into that area, both legs collapse, both legs go numb. It induces a reaction throughout the whole body, which lames him. It's one of the most brilliant kicks to deliver if you do it properly. And doing it properly is what we're going to practice here. If you look at a lot of guys in combat sports, MMA, etc., some of them throw really good tie kicks, others throw tie kicks that, quite frankly, aren't that good. And because they're sloppy and easy to read, people block them or they intuitively put their leg in the way or they check them using their shin. And so you see even highly trained MMA players getting broken shins. They snap their shins because they're not throwing that kick properly into the right part of the target. So, how do we do it properly? The sequence here is very much the same as the front kick. I start off with my neutral stance and immediately I turn my front toes out 45 degrees. Now, instead of swinging the leg up and through this way, I lift the leg up to the side, like a dog at a bush, like that, and I swing up, over and slightly down into the target, using my shin, not the instep of the foot. If you use the foot to strike the target, if he recoils or pulls back, you can easily sprain your ankle or even break your foot by hitting him with the metatarsals of your foot. So the goal is to reach in with your shin. And here's the important part, guys. As you throw this kick, you want to spin right around. Right now I'm facing you. In reality, I'd be kind of facing my opponent. But for this kick to work, I need to wind up facing that way, directly away from where you're standing. So I need to swivel right around like this. And the reason for that is I want to recruit my entire body weight, my hip, the swivel of the body, the twist of the spine. Very often you'll see guys throwing this kick in a lazy kind of way. They do a half turn, they throw the kick like, somebody punting a soccer ball toward a goal post, and that's when you get injured. That's when your leg gets caught. That's when somebody catches your leg and punches you in the face. The proper way to do this is to spin your entire body in, throw yourself right through that target. The goal is not to just smack him on the outside of the leg. Your goal, visually speaking, is to cut right through that leg. You want to think of your shin as being an axe or a machete, and you want to chop right through that leg. Your intent should be to break the bone. So from here, slowly, I'm just turning my toes out. I'm not giving him any warning, I'm keeping my hands up here, and immediately I throw the leg up. Usually I will hide this behind the hand strikes. Throw the leg up, around, and from there into the target. At the moment of impact, my supporting heel should almost be facing my opponent. So from here, I'm turning my supporting toe out, the kicking leg comes up and over, and there is the finish position right there. You'll notice that my shoulder, my hip, and my knee are in a straight line. There's a slight bend to the leg, and from there that allows me to chop right through the target as I make contact. The idea is not to snap. It's not a karate move when you're doing that. You're not Chuck Norris. So from there, you swing the whole body in, around as hard as you can. When you make contact, you will naturally bounce off. You're simply going to, that's going to happen as you make contact. And from there, you can continue doing whatever you're going to do. The key thing is up, over, and slightly down. At every stage, your supporting knee should be slightly bent. Never be straightened up. Keep it slightly bent, and at the moment of impact, bend that knee a slight bit more. So you're dropping your body weight down into that kick. Practice it on a bag. Practice it on a partner holding a pad. And do it until your partner can feel it right through a thick pad. That is the best way to practice it. Right, the next kick I'm going to share with you it's an unusual one. It's called the scoop kick. And we use this at a number of different ranges. We use it at approximately, arm's length or kicking range. We can also use it really close if we're busy clinching or hitting somebody or working right up chest to chest. And the way it works is very simple. In the same way that we throw a push kick, we bring the foot up past the knee and throw it forward from there. With the scoop kick, the only difference is I'm not kicking with the flat of the foot, straight up like that. I'm turning my toes out and kicking with the inside blade of the foot using the shoe. The target is typically the knee, the shin, or the inside of the ankle. So if he's further away and he suddenly runs at me or I need to stall him, then I'm simply throwing it out, bang, and striking the knee. At closer range, we may be at arm's length or hitting range, elbows, hammer fists, that kind of thing. From here, I just bring it through the middle, up to my knee, and I rake down the front of his shin or the inside of his shin. Very, very effective. It's a stomping motion, using the toe turned out like that. And by the way, guys, it's important that even when you throw this kick, turn your supporting toes out as well. At extremely close range, if I'm hugging and kissing and headbutting my opponent at this point, then all I do is I look down and see where his ankle is. And what we're looking for is the inside of the ankle, and from here lifting the foot up in a shallow arc, striking the inside of the ankle right here and buckling it outward. So essentially you're pinning his foot to the ground and breaking the ankle joint, literally shearing the ankle joint apart by stomping in from there, using the force of that blow at incredibly close range. It's impossible to stop. Once you've decided to pull the trigger on that and his hands are engaged up here, you can pin him to the ground using your hands and then take the ankle out and break the ankle. So very, very useful. We mustn't get into the mindset of, if somebody is here, all I have is elbows and headbutts and wrestling. Look at his feet, look at his shins, and break that ankle using the scoop kick. So one more time, from here I'm just turning my toe out, bringing my foot past my knee, boom, in and out like that. Of course I'm holding back because I don't want to kick my dummy through the window, but in reality I'm aiming for the knee or the shin and going right through with a great deal of force. It's a fantastic kick. Not many people know how to respond to it or even expect it. So practice this one a lot. The last kick I'm going to share with you today is the side kick. And of course, we all think of Bruce Lee, we think of those cool, karate, kung fu, taekwondo type things. It's the same kick. It works really, really well. Now, in our system of Krav Maga, if we're facing somebody, I would prefer not to turn my body sideways in order to deliver a kick. That means that this hand and that foot are out of action. And in a situation where you have weapons, multiple attackers, or possibly someone who's just a lot more skilled than you, I don't believe it's a good idea to exclusively present one side of your body or the other. As far as possible, we try to triangulate and keep all our faculties in a kind of a wedge in front of us aimed at the person we're dealing with all the time. However, I may be standing here minding my own business or already engaging with an opponent here and somebody rushes me from the side. So this is a great way to drive him off without having to kind of temporarily put this guy aside and turn to face this one and do something. And to throw the side kick is very, very simple as well. My supporting knee remains slightly bent at all times. From here, I'm lifting my kicking leg up and placing my heel next to my knee. Now I kick out sideways. From here, I extend it out, and once again, what we want is a straight line between my shoulder, my hip, my knee, and my foot. For that to happen, I need to bring my hip forward. The feeling is as though someone's grabbed you by the belt and is pulling your hip forward as your leg goes out. A common mistake with this kick is people put the kick out there, and as they kick, their butt moves backward. So they're doing that. I'm going to do it from the front, and you'll see what I mean. Typically, this is what happens if you're not putting the hip in. There's a kind of a weird bend to the body. And of course, if I hit something with my foot there, all the force is coming back up through the leg, pushing my hip that way and breaking my structure. But if I throw the kick in such a way that it's all straight, like that, it puts me in a position where all the force is transferred down a straight line into the target. Said target being usually the front of the thigh, the knee, possibly the groin, lower midsection. We try not to kick higher than that. In fact, the lower the better. And there are two ways you can do this. One is to kick out sideways, to simply go back and hit the guy who's coming toward you. The other way is to throw it forward. As I said, not preferred, but in some cases you may need to. The mantra remains the same. I turn the supporting foot out, I bring my foot up to my knee like that, and as I do, my body swivels sideways from there. Now I throw the kick out, I stab out, straight leg, leaning slightly away, and keeping a straight line between myself and the target as I do that. It's a lot more difficult to do slowly than it is to do fast, obviously, because when you do it fast, you're recruiting your weight and striking in from there. In the event that you have enough space and you need to move sideways to kick somebody in a crisis where you don't have time to reorient, one simple way of increasing the force of the kick is take a small step with this foot, so just to slide in, and as you do, take the other foot and plant it right next to your foot so they're together. So we're doing this. As you guys can see, I'm stepping from here, a slight step, bring that foot in. My body weight is recruited sideways. From here, as I land, that foot comes up and shoots out from there. You'll notice there's a golden thread running through almost all of these kicks. Some of the commonalities include things like keeping your weight solidly over your supporting leg at all times, keeping the supporting knee bent for better stability and the ability to move. Another commonality is that in almost every single case we begin by turning the toes of the supporting foot out so that we can root the heel and so that we can turn the hip and engage hip momentum in pretty much any direction. And then of course the other important thing to remember is that with every single kick that we throw, we need to be aiming through, not to. Kicks can also be expressed in different ways. These are the fundamental kicks that you can use in basic scenarios where you need to develop a lot of power with a great deal of high rate of return on energy expended and likelihood of success. There are many other trick kicks that you can learn, and these take time and they're higher risk. There are things like combination kicks where you're faking one kick and then throwing another one, kicks where you are sweeping down the ground and then coming up to the face or a weapon like that. Those take practice and they are higher risk in a real fight, although they can work. Another subcategory of kicks, of course, is sweeps. So getting close in and looking at ways of taking his feet out from underneath him, breaking the knees, robbing him of balance, etc., etc. And there are some really crafty ways of doing those, which we'll cover in future videos as well. Thank you guys, that's it for today, and enjoy your training.